Okay, here's the fourth video of chapter 2, and it's how to name acids. So you are going to know automatically that you're an acid because you're going to start with a hydrogen. If you start with a hydrogen, it means that H has a positive charge, so he's a +1 in these compounds. He can be put with any anion, so any non-metal that has a negative charge or a polyatomic that has a negative charge. And you use the flip-flop rule just like the ionic compounds. So for example, H plus and Cl minus, you flip-flop and you get HCl. If you want to put hydrogen with sulfur, you flip-flop the charges and H2S. A polyatomic like cyanide, Cn minus, you still just flip the charges and there's your compound. So the way we name acids is there's two categories. H can either be with just an element or something that does not have oxygen with it, or it can be H with a polyatomic. And these other polyatomics will have oxygen. So it's pretty much H with something without oxygen or H with something with oxygen. If there's no oxygen, you're using this first rule, which just is hydro at the beginning and ic at the end. So hydrochloric acid, hydrosulfuric acid, hydrocyanic acid. Sometimes I use this little saying, if there's no O, meaning no oxygen in the acid, use hydro. So hydro, whoever, ic, if there's no oxygen. If there's an oxygen, then you have to depend on your polyatomic names. So these are all going to include polyatomic ions with a hydrogen. So here, for example, you can have HClO2. What you have to do is, it starts with an H, so you know it's an acid. So then you focus on this polyatomic here. You would go and figure out that ClO2 is chlorite. And chlorite, if it ends with ite, you're going to change the ending to us. So it goes from chlorite to chlorous acid. That's the name. HNO2, same thing. You have an oxygen, so you focus on the NO2 minus. NO2 minus is nitrite, and the ite changes to us. So it's nitrous acid. The other scenario is if your polyatomic ends in ate. So if you have HClO3, ClO3 is chlorate. So if it's an 8, it goes to ic. So it changes to chloric acid. You still don't have a hydro. Remember, you only have hydro up here if there's no oxygen. If there's an oxygen, you just change the ending. So HNO3, as one more example, you have H plus, NO3 minus, which is nitrate, and nitrate, the ending will change to ic. So what I wrote over here to the side was the two little rules. If your polyatomic ends in ite, it changes to us. I remember this by saying bugs bite us, ite us, ite us. So if the bugs bite us, if our polyatomic ends in ite, we change it to us. And then some people say for the 8 rule that you ate an acid and said ic. So 8 always changes to ic. So those are the 3 scenarios for naming acids.